Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Carrie's Gardening Channel. So, today is October 28th, 2019, and I wanted to show you some of the different begonias that I've grown over the years, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the different varieties, how they're used, what I like about them, how they grow. So, I hope you enjoy the tour, and we'll be right back. So the first up on the list is the Nonstop series of begonias. Now this is one of my favorite begonia varieties to grow. They get about 10 inches tall and the blooms can be about 4 inches wide. Now if your blooms are really small on your begonias, then they need more food. So go ahead and give them a bloom boost of 15-30-15 plant food. Mix that a fourth teaspoon to a gallon of water. Now, begonias don't need a lot of food, and they can easily get fertilizer burn. So you want to make sure that your plant is well watered before you go ahead and feed them. And this variety is gorgeous mixed in containers with like impatiens, caladiums, fuchsias, other begonia type flowers. They do prefer shade, so you don't want to put them out in full sun because you'll burn the foliage on them. But they're just one of my favorite varieties. They bloom a lot, and that's how they get their name, Nonstop, because they just keep blooming and going, and they can really put on a show. Now, these here were started from seed, and I do have videos on my channel for how to start begonias from seed. And for this particular variety, you want to keep your soil moist but not soggy. Begonias do need well-drained soil so that you don't rot the tubers on them or the bulbs. So you just want to make sure that your soil drains very readily and your containers drain well for drainage. And they are shade-loving plants, so you do want to make sure that you keep them in the shade. Now there are 3 different varieties for the Nonstop. There's the regular Nonstops, there's a Nonstop Mocca with the darker leaves, and then there's also a Nonstop Joy. That one comes, I believe, as of right now in just yellow and white for the Nonstop Joy. But they have the same blooming capabilities as the regular Nonstop series, and they're absolutely gorgeous. Now, begonia tubers will not survive through the winter where you get like frosts and freezes and snow. So you definitely want to make sure that you take the tubers out and store them over the winter for later planting. Now, I did do videos on my channel for how to restart your begonia tubers, and I also did videos on my channel for how to store the begonia tubers and how to take them out of their soil for winter storage. And it's the same for, the method is the same for all the different types of tuberous begonias. So the next one that I want to talk about is the Sun Cities collection of begonias. Now, this includes the Santa Cruz Sunset, the Santa Barbara, and the San Francisco. Now, these are part of the, I believe it's pronounced Boliviensis type of begonias, and they are a little different. The blooms are different on them. They have more of like an angel wing foliage. Now they do still produce a tuber, which you can take out and store over the winter time for replanting. And they can tolerate drier soil than a lot of your other begonias. And now they tell you for these that you don't need to pinch them, but I do recommend pinching them to get a fuller, bushier plant. And you can grow these in hanging baskets and different planters. And it's one that I really enjoy growing. And these can tolerate more sun in the northern climates than most of your other begonias. Most of your begonias are for shade, but the Santa Cruz Sunset, the Santa Barbara, and the San Francisco can tolerate more sun. This one here is the Funky Pink Begonia, and I did do other videos of this one on my channel. And the blooms are something like I have never seen before on tuberous type begonia. They're really frilly, very full, beautiful pink color. I really like the foliage too, and this type of begonia here is in a class all of its own. They crossed the Tuberous Begonia with the Boliviensis begonia, and they came up with this begonia here. And can tolerate drier soil like than most of your begonias can. And you can put it out in more sun. It can tolerate more sun in northern climates. But it's beautiful in hanging baskets. It does kind of cascade some, and it gives like a really full, nice basket. And to me, it's a real showstopper. You can use it in planters, and it just gives a lovely thing of continuous blooms from what I've seen from this particular plant. So up next is the Go Tuberous Begonia. Now this one here, it does come in a wide range of colors, but it's not really a double flower. It does need shade, and you do want to keep your soil moist. This one here is the pendula series of begonias, and it does come in different colors. Now this one here can cascade. It does seem to take a while to bloom from what I've seen, even when you start the tubers early. So and the stems on that one, if it rubs against the hanging basket, it can like rub the stems through. Now this begonia here, it is a tuberous begonia. I'm not sure the name of it, but you definitely, when you start getting into the larger flowered begonias, like that can get really large, and the canes can get very tall on them, you do want to stake them. Now, you want to stake them when you plant the tuber in, because if you try and do that after you plant the tuber and it comes up and it's growing and you try and put the stake in, you can actually damage the tuber by putting the stake through it. So definitely go ahead and stake large types of begonias before they start coming up and growing. Especially in like high wind areas, because if you don't, the wind will just destroy your begonias. So definitely make sure that you stake the larger varieties. Now, if one of your begonias would happen to break off, it should re-sprout back out, but it will take it some time, and then it's going to have to grow again, and you're going to have to wait till it's ready to start blooming again. Now, this one here is one of the on top series of tuberous begonias. This one here is the Sunset Shades. And the blooms are a little different than the Nonstop. They're held a little bit higher above the foliage than the Nonstop begonias, but you pretty much care for them the same. They do have some different colors out. And this one here, the flowers do change colors some with as the flower ages. So up next is the Illuminations begonias. Now this is also another tuberous begonia, and they come in multiple different colors, and they have multiple different series of this particular begonia. Now one thing that I have noticed with this one here, it does take a while for this variety to bloom when you start the tubers. So just make sure that you start your tuberous begonias for this variety early enough so that you get your blooms sooner. They do look beautiful in hanging baskets. They do cascade. They do have a different bloom to them than like your Nonstop begonias. But I do like the color variations of them, and I do like the fact that they trail. Now, you do want to keep these in the shade, and they can take some sun, but you do want to make sure that you do keep them in the shade, keep their soil moist, but you don't want it soggy. Now, I do plant this particular variety in coconut liner baskets, and I'll put some links down in the description for those and for the plant foods that I use. But they do have a very wide range of colors that these do come in, and their foliage is a little bit different. It's not exactly an angel wing foliage, but it is a little different in my opinion than like the Nonstop series for the foliage. And one of my favorites of this series is the Apricot shades mix, and I just love the colors. I love how it looks like a painter would have, just brushed the different colors on there. And up next, this is the very last one, is the Bossa Nova Begonia. Now again, this is part of the Bolivienses type begonias, and you can mix these in planters. You can mix them in different plantings as I'm showing in the pictures. They look beautiful with coleus. Now, these can take more sun than like the Nonstop begonias can. Now, I still do keep them some in the shade, and if you're growing them in a hot climate, you're going to want to give them more shade due to the fact that the intense heat and sun can scorch the leaves. Sorry about that. But these do have the angel wing foliage to them. They're blooming. They just continuously bloom. They are a tuberous begonia, and you can again take the tubers out, as with all of these that I have shared in this video here. And the Bossa Nova Begonia does come in other colors. It is available from seed. Now, I've never grown this particular variety from seed. I had bought the tubers from a greenhouse at one time, and I just kept them going. And they're very full plants. I have had one tuber already in a 10-inch hanging basket, and it completely filled the basket. So definitely it has a lot of blooming power behind it, and the beautiful green foliage is an added plus to it. Hummingbirds love this one, and they will go to it. You can put it in planters, you can put it in hanging baskets, you can use mixed plantings with it. And if you've never tried this series before, I really do like it. You can keep it drier than most of your other begonias, again, as some of the other ones I have said, you can keep them on the drier side. Now, they do say that you don't need to pinch this variety, but I do recommend pinching it to get a fuller plant out of it. And, I've had this particular one here, I think, for like 4 years now, and I'm just very impressed with how well it blooms and how well it fills out the containers when you put them in there. And you can mix it with all different types of plants, and it will trail. It does have the potential to trail, So that's another added plus to it. And I'm going to wrap this video up here. There are multiple different types of tuberous begonias out there. I just shared a few that I've grown over the years. Now, as with all begonias, if you happen to overwater them, they can get, the tubers can rot on them. And they can also get stem rot, which the stem will actually rot off and break off if your soil stays too wet, or if it gets wet and cool out. So just keep that in mind, like in the early spring, or when the temperatures start cooling down for fall time. And I did do a lot of different videos on growing begonias and how to start them from seed on my channel. So you can check those out. I do have playlists on there. So if you like my video, please like, comment, subscribe. Please don't forget to hit the little notification button that tells I put a new video on. You can also follow me on Twitter. I have a link down in the description for my Twitter account. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a nice day. Bye!